Hello, my name is Aubrey and I'm not good at running, but I'm getting better. On this one, we're gonna be reviewing New Balance's Max Cushion Shoe, the More version 4. There's gonna be 3 parts to this review. The first one is this one, which is the specs, stats, and just my general view from opening the box. The second one is gonna be my impressions after the first run. And then part 3 is gonna be my review after running in the shoe 20K. That's gonna be about maybe 4 rounds of 5K, or if I get inspired, I'm just gonna bang out the 20K in one go. Highly unlikely. But anyway, before we get into the review, I'd like to kindly ask you to consider subscribing to the channel as I try to grow my network, try and interact more, and also just provide general and more content. If you do like the review, give it a thumbs up, and if you wanna get more as I go, subscribe and hit that notification bell. You know, the usual YouTuber talk. Anyway, let's get to it. So number 1, the price. I live in the UK, so this shoe will set you back £140. I must say though, this will probably be the best time to buy the version 3. If you can find it, that's gonna be at a discount. But the More V4, £140. And number 2, how much does it weigh? So this is a UK size 9.5, and I weighed it and it came out at 317 grams. I'm gonna touch on that later on because some people are criticizing it for that. It's coming across as too bulky and heavy. I disagree though, and I've got specific reasons when we touch on that point. Number 3, midsole stack height. At the very back of this shoe is 34 mil, and that's the highest the New Balance have done. At the forefoot, it's 30 mil, giving you a 4mm drop from the back to the front. The one thing you can also see is that it's got a bit more of a rocker shape. Well, all I mean by that is it's not flat, so it's gonna help you in terms of setting off as you're running. Number 4, is this shoe true to size? With this being a UK 9.5, it fit perfectly, exactly how I expected it. However, you should know that they produce this in a standard fit, a wide fit, and an extra wide fit. So please make sure you're specific about what kind of fit you have, depending on the shape of your foot, as well as the size. Number 5, let's talk about the uppers. For those not too familiar with shoe reviews, any shoe will have 3 parts. The upper, which is this top part of the shoe. Then you've got the midsole, and if you turn it over, then you've got the outsole. So let's start with the upper. There were a lot of complaints that the version 3 was not very breathable. I've watched a lot of reviews and people highlight that. I actually like that it isn't, and they've actually gone a bit more breathable on version 4. So let's acknowledge that bit, that your experience won't be the same as version 3. But for me, living in England, like this morning, the temperature was -2 when we got up. I had to de-ice the car. I actually like the fact that it's gonna provide me warmth. So that's the first thing about it. But they have improved it and made it slicker. The other thing we touch on in terms of the upper is the tongue. Version 3 had a very thick tongue and very bulky. They've actually slickened this up. Now, it's still not gusseted. Again, if you're not too familiar with that, there are some shoes where the tongue is sort of fused in with the upper and it fits almost like a sock. The tongue on this shoe is separate from the upper, so you're not gonna experience that. And for me, it's not a big deal. The one thing I'm concerned about when we talk about the upper is my foot held securely as I run? When your foot is not, that's where there's a tendency to get blisters. Anyway, so the tongue is separate, I don't mind that. The other thing people talk about when reviewing shoes are the laces, lacing system. Now for me, sometimes people get a bit too petty, but I guess they're trying to be detailed. I see no criticism, there is nothing I can highlight in terms of these laces for what this shoe is. If you ever got to see the 1080 version 11, the heel of that shoe was absolutely atrocious. I'm not sorry, New Balance, just being honest. They improved it on the version 12, and for me, it feels like a further improvement on this shoe. Because of how my heel was held when I tried it on, I absolutely love how secure everything feels. And so that is one plus I definitely have to give it. One of the key features is this logo. that when cars are driving towards you with the lights on, that's going to reflect and clearly making you more visible. That's a big plus. Next up is the midsole, the highlight of the shoe. The selling feature of this shoe is the midsole. This is an absolute monster, and I say that intentionally because I'm a big fan of On Running's monster, but On Running's monster is not as cushioned as this shoe, simply because that shoe has a plate in it, and they've intentionally made it almost a hybrid between a max cushion shoe and performance. So it does have a plate in it. This shoe doesn't. This shoe's sole objective is that cushioning, and that is what I fell in love with. It's absolutely perfect, especially being a bigger guy. I want to look after my knees and my ankles, my hips, and let my shoe absorb all of that pressure. Most people are seeing this as an easy run, a recovery one, or the shoe you're going to do your long run in. I think it's going to be absolutely perfect for that. So if you have tested Fresh Foam X, which I have in the 1080, I've got it in the trail shoe here, Aero version 6 and 7. I've always loved their technology. But when it's intentionally stacked up like this, you definitely had me at hello. Absolutely love this. And then the outsole. This is the part of the shoe that then forms contact with the ground. The one thing that is noticeable in this is you're going to see this big gap, and that is a change from the previous version. This is intended, and I'm almost adding to that cushioning, to let the middle part of your heel sink down and almost squish back up, causing that trampolining effect. I think that is absolutely genius in how they've done it. The second thing I want to talk about is, if you look at the outsole, it's intentionally wide. This is going to give you that stability as well as absorbing all of that shock so that your knees, your ankles don't take it all. Now for me, and I did say there would be part 2 where I'm going to test everything I'm saying to you, but having watched New Balance's own information on this shoe, that's how it's explained. Now I get it too, and I compare it to other shoes that I have that are much narrower. They don't offer you that same experience. Lastly, let's talk about my general view of New Balance's More version 4. The most important part of this review, the look of the shoe. I think aesthetics matter quite a great deal. There are several colorways, and you'll be able to see that from their website, but I specifically chose this white one simply because of the clean, slick look, and I love how this gradient shows off against the white. I just love how this shoe is put together aesthetically. I might swap out the laces, probably match out the gradient with the laces because I'm a cool guy like that. I'm a dad, but I'm not into dad shoes. And this is definitely not a dad shoe. So absolutely looking forward to giving this run. And I'm going to give you part 2 of the review after I take it out. And therefore, I'm not going to show you any running highlights because I haven't done any. But the next video I share with you will have that.